Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary coming to you today with my just woke up like this hair. The girl with fine Afro textured hair that is kinky, flat locks and all that stuff. This is freedom hair going on over here. This is what we got going. This is leftover from the curls from before, so they dropped. There's no products. This is what it is. There's some hair that's peeking out, grows away from the lock, and this is just what it is today. So today I want to come in to just have a discussion around some lessons learned from Linda, Linda, Linda Evangelista. So I don't know if a lot of you folks, maybe depend on your generation or who Linda Evangelista is. She's one of the iconic supermodels, and she's trending right now. And I'm definitely not this is definitely not a gossip or celebrity news channel. However, there are certain issues that I think are very, very relevant, and they actually are connected to the way that we eat. So, if you're interested in this conversation, please stay tuned, especially if you're someone that's dealt with overeating, um, unhealthful weight or additional weight, adipose tissue, technical term for fatty tissue, or have had lots of acne. I really love to explore in my practice the whys of self-sabotage and why we do what it is that we do. So I'm Body-Culinary, professional chef, personal trainer, lifestyle and nutrition coach, natural born woman. Shout out to you, whatever your expression is, mother. On this channel, I love to share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance, as well as encouragement to 3 simple lifestyle practices that we can all have access to: peaceful consumption, or at least harm possible, peaceful consumption, and personal movement practice, restarting, cultivating, activating one, as well as, so we have peaceful consumption, and garden therapy. So those are the 3 lifestyle practices that I love to encourage on this channel. There's actually quite a bit of content. If you scroll back through the channel, you'll find a puppet series called Sister Butterfly and Sister Monkey Learn to Eat Better. You'll also find some fitness videos, and you'll find quite a bit of gardening. You'll find a whole relaxation playlist, which is very, very important. So as someone that has competed in fitness and been a personal trainer for years, and have done some dance and hot yoga, folks usually want to come to me and ask for recipes and workouts. Yet over decades, I've seen some distinct patterns. I've seen lots of folks, plenty of folks that spend so much money on cleansing programs, detoxes, colonics, are vegan, vegetarian, keto, have lived the fitness lifestyle and been personal trainers and competitors. Yet most people I don't see maintain and sustain a healthful lifestyle. And so for some reason, my eye has always been peeled from a very, very young woman to looking for women who are living their best life. And Essence Magazine for years has always done a spread periodically of women that look good for their age, from 20s, 30s, all the way up into centenarians, right? Into those folks approaching their 90s and 100. So I've always looked to see, not only do they look healthy and are they vibrant, I'm looking to see if they're happy with their lives, what their lifestyle practices are, and what they're eating. So somehow my eye has been peeled for that. And that's something I strive for. That's beyond dieting, definitely beyond dieting or anything that's debilitating mentally. I want what is sustainable, that I can maintain joyfully, right? As a lifestyle practices. So those 3 lifestyle practices: peaceful consumption, garden therapy, and a personal movement practice, is something that we can all have access to. And on this little corner of the internet, I like to say the natural bodies, natural bodies matter over here. Natural bodies matter. Whether you have small tetas or if you have bigger ones, our main concern, hopefully, is that they are growth free, tumor free, that they're healthy, right? The main thing is that these body parts, that we keep them healthy and free of any kinds of growth, right? Also, I encourage self massage. That's one of our lifestyle practices that we'll talk about another time. Greetings, uniquely. So feel free to like if you find some value here, if you like. Subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more of this kind of content. I will definitely share some of my minimalist, what I do with this fine, kinky, natural hair. So I have other stuff to do. I'm not interested in being a slave to hair or products. So I share that on this channel as well. There are also several resources that I've made available, which are Whole Living Foods in the Hood. That is a guide to consuming whole, fresh, living, unprocessed foods as a lifestyle. You can decide on a ratio. However, I'm focusing on fresh food. Fresh food. That's where the antioxidants are. That's where the vital life energy is. That's where the fiber is. Your gut flora needs fiber. So that's whole, fresh living fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, sprouts, microgreens, and legumes. That is the basis of how I'm eating. And we don't need one more thing to divide us. So you'll decide on what that ratio is for you. Right? I like to find ways to come at things from a healthy perspective that doesn't necessarily have us trashing or beating up on ourselves or beating up on other people. This kind of approach I find is more sustainable. So you want what is effective, right? So you can get some literal results and what is sustainable as a lifestyle. I call that finding your sweet spot that you can live with. So you'll find sample budgets and shopping lists in there. The link for that is inside of the chat section. It's also for any of you folks dealing with lots of acne, whiteheads, blackheads, hyperpigmentation. I have found in my experience, maybe yours is different, that it wasn't products from the health food store and it wasn't products over the counter, the proactive benzoyl peroxide, salicylic acid, hydrolonic acid. Not, that stuff did not clear up my skin. Whole, fresh, living foods for a fact. In addition to my personal movement practice to move my lymphatic system, which can't get pumped unless you're moving vigorously, and just all of that movement helping to circulate all that nutrition around my system and sweating. That's what cleared up my skin and leaving it alone over time. The body knows what to do. It knows how to achieve a healthy, natural weight. When we just stop clogging it, and I'm just going to say it, just one woman's perspective, not necessarily the truth. We stop clogging it with substances masquerading as food. I don't know what to tell you. Relaxation is also really, really huge on this channel. So my hair, although I enjoy it now, I wish I had known about this as a child. There's no pulling, no scalp burns. A big part of this health, and for me, this is an important part of my practice and what I found effective in working with folks, is the undertone, the under conversations, the why of what we're doing. So this hair for me lends itself to relaxation. I wish that people knew how huge relaxation is, right? And rest, not limited to sleep, right? When it's time for sleep, and if it's 8 hours or 6 hours, your quality sleep, relaxation, right? A lot of what we're getting through these screens is not relaxation. It's actually what I will call triggeration. Triggeration and triggering a lot of fright and fear, which drives a lot of our mindless behaviors. So for me, as someone that has been in a return to natural for years and love my natural lifestyles, I would still say there's still remnants of that. The difference is, or the distinction, and I love distinctions, is the awareness, is being very intentional around cultivating an awareness of the internal dialogue, right? If you slow down in your quiet moments, which is one of the reasons why I love the early day, the wee hours, when there's not so much noise, you can hear, right? Not, we call them voices, it's an intelligence while you're in a human suit. You can hear your internal dialogue. A lot of times it's hypercritical. Sometimes we may not even be aware that it's very negative and it's very bullying, right? And without making ourselves bad or wrong, in the quiet and in the absence of a lot of physical discomfort, you can become very present in your body physically. And you can also become aware of the mental processing of how it's going on automatic pilot and driving behaviors. But quite often we're putting our reproductive organs, our internal organs, our skin, and our emotional and mental in harm's way. This is something we're participating in. A lot of this is being triggered through what we are listening to, what we're taking in our conversation, some of it very unknowingly, and also it's popular cultures. Greetings, Rory! Sending some warm, positive vibes. So this is the kind of content I feel that it's a valuable conversation. There's so much that I have to say. I don't have time to be on the internet all the time. At the same time, I feel like, man, I feel like some of these conversations that could perhaps shorten your learning curve can contribute to you getting clarity. Clarity is worth its weight in gold. When you are clear, when you're clear, distinction, I love distinctions. When you are clear, nobody could pay you to do certain acts. If you was a greedy individual, when you're clear on certain things, nobody could pay you to eat certain things, right? When you are clear, somebody could be drop dead fine looking like a chocolate Adonis or whoever, and you're not going to put your reproductive organs and your mental and emotional in harm's way. This is a spectrum. This is something to be cultivated, right? A solid foundation. I find this is part of what's missing. We got plenty of intellectual knowledge. We've read so many books. Many of us have numerous degrees. And I have observed the degrees, right? Just like we can see with some of the beautiful women in the world, stunningly beautiful, the Halle Berrys, all these beautiful women, having several degrees and lots of beauty and musical and singing ability doesn't shield you from being mistreated, left. It doesn't necessarily make you, it doesn't shield you from disease. It doesn't shield you from aging. I was just having a conversation with a beautiful flower, a younger woman, this early day, and I was just sharing, like, in some of my research, you may see on a couple of older channels, I've had several impromptu beauty conferences, things that I thought was so important that can perhaps help inform you or give you another set of eyes before you make some life altering decisions. You see, I'll tell you, in our 20s, we think we're so smart, and yet another age, and we all know something, right? At different ages. However, in your late teens and your 20s, we're making decisions that change the entire trajectory of our lives. Might I keep it real? May I? May I? Do I have permission to do that? So we're bringing human beings here. And as much as we complain all these different channels and talk about narcissists, more so than point the finger of blame, right? If we're applying the principle, I love principles because they level the playing field. The principles apply to vanilla people, chocolate people, male and female. They give us something to do and can affect our bottom line more effectively. So the principle of a vetting process. Do many of us witness a vetting process amongst the women and the men? Today, there's almost distinction. There's almost no vetting process. I didn't know what a vetting process was. One time I didn't know what a narcissist was. The vetting process is the litmus test, the application, the checks and balances that you put in place before you allow access to your most precious resources, in this case being your reproductive organs, to your finances, to decisions that will alter your life. Poor decisions, naive decisions are not the move, male or female. A lot of the pandering, and this is I'm wary of the pandering that's going on online. There's no shortage of pandering. Pandering meaning people that will trigger you by talking about the things that you're fearful of, connecting with you on, you went through that trauma? Oh, I had that trauma with my mother and my father too, right? And so you feel a section of, you feel a sense of validation or being seen or heard. Boop, and right, was slid right in underneath that is someone selling you something. And just from personal experience, not meaning to offend anyone, if it doesn't resonate, leave it here. This could be religion, religious leaders, celebrities, people with singing ability. It seems we have more technology and intelligence and intellectualism. There are different types of intelligences. However, based on our choices on putting ourselves in harm's way, putting the future generation in harm's way, putting the planet in harm's way. It seems that there is a massive amount of cognitive dissonance. We know my grandpa used to have a saying, right? And I don't go by all sayings. I question everything. I run everything through the filter. He said, "You're so smart, you're stupid. You're so smart, you're dumb. But what you gonna do with all that book learning?" So we have lots of degrees, yet we put ourselves and when on your own time, perhaps look at the numbers, right? Sometimes I like numbers because they can help us be more objective. If you look at the numbers and the rates of Afro women, women of Afro, I say Afro, so it's unifying whether you're on a continent, IT, Brooklyn, New York, the rates of us with HIV is off the meters. That would seem to say to me that in those defining moments, you're like, are you gonna put on a condom? No, baby, I just want to feel it. Defining moment, defining moment, defining moment, those defining moments that change the entire trajectory of your life and your future offspring, right? It's going to cost you money, heartache, therapy. Ain't that much money and therapy in the world. Those, without making ourselves bad or wrong, those decisions are coming from a place I invite you to consider of trauma. Last time I checked, no offense to the church, but it hasn't been able, the religion hasn't been able to mitigate that. Let's just look at our results, right? We could sit pointing the finger. How, let's say, we just hire a consultant to come in and assess where we going wrong. See, we intellectualize it, we get very emotional. However, when it comes to our bottom line, it seems that we just self-sabotage, the self-sabotage. So I have a curiosity. Curiosity I found is more effective than beating up on myself. I can tell you as a personal trainer. I can tell you someone that comes from a history of obesity. I can tell you somebody that was a junk food junkie. The beating up on yourself, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It will actually trigger you to overeat or to mindlessly consume. It doesn't work. Beating up, and folks could disagree respectfully if you like. The beating up on children, it doesn't work. It doesn't take us to the root of the why of the behavior. If we don't understand the why, then you don't really have a good chance at being effective at a solution, or your solution is ineffective or partially effective at best, right? So it's simple principles are missing in a vetting process. Who do you allow? What do you allow into your mouth? Do you have a litmus test? Have you seen a consistent pattern? As someone with loads and tons of acne, I know certain behaviors I do I can feel my face breaking out eating certain foods, even raw vegan, like clockwork. So do I care about the label? No, I care about the results, not just the superficial results, distinction, not just what it looks like. I'm concerned as someone that's worked in the health industry, I'm concerned about longevity because whether we realize it or not, some stuff is coming for us. It's coming for you. Male and female is coming for you. So perhaps it would be more effective and more beneficial, affecting our bottom line, giving us the clarity. Clarity is worth its weight in gold. The clarity will help you make good, effective decisions. Clarity, right? Go look at some pictures of some STDs. Go look at the myriad. Look, don't be afraid to look. Go look at it. Look at how much it costs to raise a child. Consider the protection of the child needs, right? So they're not tampered with. Can you keep your eyes on children? Women folks out there, can you keep your eyes on your children all the time? Consider even with the best quality man, he can't be there all the time for all these high value men that you choose. They got to be out there working, whatever if they're bringing in six fingers or whatever they're bringing in, right? So it doesn't appear that we're strategic. So the emotions don't usually go with us being strategic decisions. And I have found clarity, being very clear. This and this will likely give me this result. And it takes something to really wrap our minds around that. To wrap our minds around. This is what some education will help you. It's not just enough to even know, greetings, Ayo, about to just know about some basic facts. This is eating well and being totally invested in your longevity and your vitality. See, distinction. A lot of times we're getting caught in the skin and the muscle. but your mental, emotional health is grounded, totally connected, cannot be separated from our decisions. And many of us are making decisions from our 7-year-old mind, our 19-year-old mind, the mindset that didn't get the love and care that we would have liked from our parents. A lot of this is driving our decisions. And quite often today, just one woman's observation, many of us are using as a bypass esoteric knowledge, astrology readings from random people online, astrology, and I made a bad decision because my moon is in Venus. Um, that doesn't make sense to me. In the absence of logic, if you put yourself in harm's way, this is what you're going to get. If you look at the rates of HIV, and they've come out with three, if not more by now, new strains of diseases. It's on some of the previous videos that I've done. This is just being objective. Why in 2022 will we still be putting ourselves in harm's way? So let me just get to the topic here because someone commented, could you please get straight to the point? Shout out to you. I can appreciate feedback, but do know, I make the effort to be very protective of my psyche with all the comparison that goes online, which totally affects our self-esteem. From the moment you turn on these screens, you're comparing yourself and you're feeling like crap because you don't sound like this person, you don't have this. Very, very protective of my psyche. I feel like I'm at a point. Um, let me see how my folks is doing today. I feel like I'm at a point where I know what I want and more clear, but I also became so very overwhelmed and paralyzed with anxiety when attempting to pivot. Right. And so this is something I was just taking notes on for Afro Flower. And for those folks that are interested, I've got some of your communications. And if you're interested in that private community, send me an email for an application to see if it is a fit for you to bodyculinary@gmail.com and or info@body-culinary.com. So this coaching, it's not just for us to sit and complain. I like to come together around an activity. So it is around fitness. What are the three practices? Garden and peaceful consumption, as well as our decision making and giving ourselves some support. Definitely some relaxation techniques and something to do. I've spoken before on this channel about a cocoon. If you ask me, just my little humble observation, I say that many of us as women should pull ourselves off the scene. Because, and again, I'm humble. These screens and the music and the food are highly addictive and it's hypnotic. So the overwhelm, a lot of the overwhelm is making it is driving us, triggering. I mean, I say making us, it's triggering us to overeat. It's triggering us to overspend. You feel what I'm saying? So if we're doing that out of a state of anxiety and desperation, that's subconscious. Most of our behaviors are subconscious. I've got to look like this. Nobody will accept me. I won't get a job. I have to, we're placing ourselves in harm's way. And especially in our 20s and 30s, we're not teens, 20s, and 30s. There's a lot that we're not factoring in with our mental health from being on the receiving end of mental abuse, verbal abuse, poor decisions that we've made. We can pivot, however, consider humans and definitely us as women, we don't bounce back like that. We just don't. Thus, the drugs and the alcohol, right? At what point does it go from social to we're alcoholics? Just look at the trends. There's some stuff right now that is crystal clear. The clarity is worth its weight in gold. So shout out to Boan Muri with your beautiful voice, and Ayo and Carolyn Shepherd and Uniquely Beautiful. So let me come back to the what we initially started on talking about. Was it Linda Evangelista? You can look her up. She's an iconic model. So she's I don't know if she's my age. We might be peers. So I'm giving away my age. So she is, or my chronological age. She is an iconic supermodel, and she has recently had a procedure called cool sculpting, right? So there's the marketing and the packaging. And if you look on some of the other the two videos I did, impromptu beauty conference, I have discussed because I felt like I think it's an important discussion. the BBLs, and this is not a judgment. I don't have a condemnation on anybody with a perm, a wig. They're people very dear to me. Some of it I like. I like makeup. However, I'm choosing what is works for me mentally and in terms of convenience in my lifestyle. So between the BBLs, the horrific surgeries, and the mishaps, and a total lack of information and lack of transparency on the long-term effects, and many women trying to remove them. And I never thought I would see the day when so many um, Afro women would pay top dollar. So distinction, the follow the money trail. This is not like it's filtering into our community. We know that dollar leaves our hands and doesn't return to our community. Where in other communities, it cycles back and forth, right? Shout out. We'll go address Afronomics and Afroflowernomics later. And all are welcome on this channel, whatever your package is, as long as you're respectful over here. So as I've said, we deserve to feel comfortable in our own divinely assigned hair and skin. So in any event, if you were to look at these horrific surgeries, I can think of people that I know that have actually experienced it, and they would tell you it's a no-go after the torture. I've had clients who have paid for the top surgeons that had the money, were asking me to do, living foods for them so they can have a great recovery. And they look phenomenal after transforming their body with simple food and movement. They transformed their body with food, movement, looking phenomenal, fantastic, but wanted to go and do another type of improvement. For who? For what? We already have children, right? I have had several malpractice lawyers as clients that have told me I wouldn't recommend that you subject yourself to any kind of voluntary surgery. But so I would say there's something driving us, to many young women putting themselves in harm's way to get the money for the surgeries, right? We have perfectly healthy body parts. Where does this come from? And this is, I'm not here to offend anyone. This is just one person's experience, my perspective, right? So we can respectfully disagree or have different mature discussions from different viewpoints, right? So I know people from all walks of life. When the body temple, this physical car that we put down, is functioning healthfully and is vibrant, and the different organs and pieces have a purpose, and we're being encouraged. Like, one time, it would never even occur to me to cut something off of me that is functioning optimally. It's helping me to function. I'd rather exit here with my womb, with my breasts intact, with my ears, with my divinely assigned body parts, right? Do we ever stop and think of the ticker tape, right? Sometimes you might have to go talk to yourself. I'm all for talking to yourself in the mirror. And if you catch yourself going, ooh, ooh, look at that hip. Ooh, my gosh, look at your nose. Ooh, look at those circles. It's your body. Imagine just celebrating it. So anyway, so back to Linda Evangelista. She gets a process called cool sculpting, right? And so with a lot of the vanilla population, a lot of my clients, so there are different aesthetics culturally, different monetary demographics. I see different patterns. So some of them have a different aesthetic, and they don't prefer so much muscle. They just want to be skinny. So I adjust their training programs accordingly, give people what they want. So a lot of the model aesthetic, they prefer to be very, very slim. So usually their movement practice of choice is yoga, right? So very, very slim body type, and in maturing, wanting to hold on to that aesthetic, right? Even as we get older, right? So she had the procedure done around here. Many clients will say, oh, I don't want to hang over my bra strap, right? As the composition changes, because we don't have enough strength training added in, and because we have a lot of salt, water retention, fake foods. That's what's hanging over here, but that's another story. So many people complain, particularly women. My men never have this complaint, that they don't want to hang over the bra strap. So she had some of the cool sculpting done there. Okay, so the pictures come out recently and they're trending, and her look now is very matronly. It looks night and day, and the areas where she's had the procedure done have hardened. So now are things and distinctions that are not transparent. This is where there's a tremendous amount of concern for young women choosing to alter and make permanent changes. See, if I go and play around in some henna, the henna, right, and safe henna, there are different types of henna, that, I'm going to change my mind. I can move the henna around. It's not a permanent decision I'm making when my mind is going to change. I know you like to think your mind is not going to change. I thought I would never stop clubbing, right? I wasn't allowed to party in my teens. And once I had a job on Wall Street, I didn't drink or smoke, but I went out to party and to dance. I love to dance. I never thought I would stop wanting to go to the club. And Eureka, one day I was like, this is not for me. I never thought I could be without living in a fast city where I have all the amenities. But you change. We're making permanent choices that alter the whole trajectory of our life and any potential offspring because of a lack of information. And I would say it's also coming from trauma. So now Linda Evangelista, she went from looking like a supermodel to now a supermodel that hasn't aged well, and now she looks very matronly. And so it's interesting the conversation has had. If you look at the picture, it's very distinct where she points out the very thing that she didn't want. Now she has it and it's hardened into her body. So now we have the explants. The big movement. Again, you can look at the older video on this channel, Impromptu Beauty Conference. There's a big movement of women speaking even on YouTube about explants or removing the implants because their body is rejecting the implants. They're looking to have them totally removed because they're getting sick, and the FDA was not acknowledging this. Now you can't help but acknowledge it because everybody's got, all these women have their stories out on YouTube. So now they're having to acknowledge, and they're having to pay. So they pay so much money to get the procedure. Now they're having to do more to pay to get it removed, and then the recovery. It's like it boils down to, and again, I'm not saying this to be harsh. We're butchering. Now we're butchering ourselves, and somebody has to say, you still have to go work to pay somebody to butcher you and to butcher you again. Like I told my son, you want to eat candy, even the health food candy, not brush your teeth. You're going to pay for somebody to stick some needles in your mouth and to pull your teeth out. I'm not going to foot the bill. So this actually is not it's not a laughing matter. If you just look, okay, this also brings, so that's Linda Evangelista. There's a young lady named K Michelle. So she's not my generation. I don't really follow her music. There's a lot of music today across the board. The lyrics, I don't know, my ears are different. I just can't. Some of the beat is hypnotic, but I can't get with the lyrics. I can't. It's like I can't. So I'm not even sure what song she makes, but she's very popular, and she's spoken about her surgeries. I think it was she had a BBL, which is the Brazilian butt lift, which is crazy because I know my butt. I ain't got no implant. I got my natural thick thighs and my little butt, and I've always gotten compliments. I feel like, how could people be fixated on a butt? Even one of my, my ex boyfriends, he said, "Oh, well, I see the butt." I'm like, wow, it's a butt. It's a piece of flesh. Everybody's got their thing. So in any event, she has had to have them altered and removed, and the butchering. I've seen several of these instances, and it is absolutely horrific. I've seen an African girl have it removed. Even hearing about, and this is not even just the parties with the silicone. Like, think about this. This doesn't make sense to go take the caulk that you use for your kitchen and put it into your behind, into your backside. So if we just slow down, if we would just which says we're not objective. This is massive cognitive dissonance. The women with the roundest derrieres on the planet, Afro women, are paying for somebody to inject something. Where is this coming from? Who's writing this narrative? This is why I have decided to take it off the table and not drive myself bananas, not drive myself crazy, not beat up on myself, not me be stuffing myself. Yeah, sometimes I throw the ebonics in there. Not me be stuffing myself with more organic Oreos and cookies and ice cream because I'm feeling away or I'm fearful. I reverse engineer to see where those thoughts are coming from. A lot of them are not mine. So distinction, when someone is selling me something or even giving me a compliment, I slow down to feel and to assess where it's coming from. Discernment in 2022 and beyond. Any politician, preacher, religion looking, somebody coming knocking on my door looking to sell me a solution or a supplement, put them eyeglasses on. Put them eyeglasses on and read. Read, because the gift of gab is just like the music, is hypnotic because it's triggering your subconscious. It's triggering those basic fears we've talked about in this channel: fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of old age, fear of ill health. And did I say fear of loss of love or never finding love? Primal human fears, manipulated every which way to Sunday by every religion, every politician, every two-bit con man, take your pick. These are principles. So if you can tweak your eye, right, to the principles, even if you haven't had the life experience. You see, if you're in your 20s or 30s, you don't want to get clarity. And the only way you get clarity is now you've offed yourself. You've added permanent damage, perhaps, to your reproductive organs, your mental, emotional. You totally cannot remember what you wanted to study in school. You're so emotionally attached to someone, not because you know them, but because out of trauma, you're trying to figure something out with your parents. You totally went off track with what you wanted to study and financially securing yourself, right? We may not think these things are connected to food, yet they are. They are, because food, if most of us had to check, we're not eating primarily for nutrition. We're not. If this doesn't resonate, leave it here. We're not eating primarily today for nutrition. I have observed in my 30 years of experience, we're eating, oops, here's my water. We're eating primarily for recreation and pacifying ourselves and for a dopamine hit. Most of what we're watching on the screens is for a dopamine hit and the escapism without making ourselves bad or wrong. That pause and just, I invite you to a healthy sense of curiosity about why I do the things that we do, right? The why. It's an escape. It's a bypass. Looking at other people's lives, sometimes as a voyeur, it's making us feel. It's making us feel something. It's making us feel some kind of, even if it's superficial, some laughter or some joy, so that we don't have to deal and we don't have to accept what's in front of us. Some of you may or may not have heard the term sitting with the pain. And I know as a child, just like when people recommend religion or go pray over everything, I feel like it's people make it sound like it's so simple. And I'm saying it's somebody that's gone to ashrams for years, meditated, done my stint, and thought I was going to make shahada going to Saudi Arabia and all of this stuff. But I'm able to discern, and discernment is such an important life skill. Discernment also means a certain level of accountability and responsibility, right? Because if you get quiet, some of us may not want to let go of our own fantasy of these religious leaders and political people, that they're not any better than we are, that they may have a skill set. However, they are flawed human beings, and capable human beings are capable of deviancy. See, this is where we're blindsided. Until we can accept that basic truth, we perhaps will see that's a principle, that is a mindset. When we are unwilling to accept that melanated people have the capacity for deviancy, whatever your skin package has a capacity. Uh, Politicians, religious leaders have the capacity for deviancy. We have flaws. We have trauma. So we're just going with these narratives that have been fed to us. Right. So K Michelle has My Killer Body. You can check it out online. So rather than, we can get stuck almost like the Jerry Springer shows. It's so crazy. You can't believe this is what you're seeing. Yet it's addictive and hypnotic. Why are these things so addictive and hypnotic for us to watch them? They're not giving us any language skills. They're not helping us learn a new language. It's not planting some food inside the yard. It's not getting us more fit. I invite you to consider the why. The why is subconsciously how we are being affected by what we're watching and consuming and eating. Some folks may consider me long-winded. That's okay. In my self-acceptance, I accept that this is the way that I communicate. Now, there's always room for improvement. I appreciate positive feedback. However, I make a point to be vigilant about protecting healthy boundaries. I have a list. I smack. I got fine hair. I'm long-winded. This is how I express. Radical self-acceptance. If we do not cultivate radical self-acceptance, that does not mean complacency, right? Because I pay coaches all the time to give me feedback, right? However, accepting other people's projections, on us, this stuff destabilizes us emotionally. When you're emotionally unstable, you're going to put yourself in harm's way. When you're emotionally unstable, you're usually going to self-medicate. Are you feeling me here? I'm telling you now, someone we're talking about in the cocoon. Get to the root. You want to get to the root of what is driving our behavior. So another piece of research, and you can look this up, is called the soft white underbelly. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. It's quite a rabbit hole, and we don't have but so much time. I actually have some screen time on my screens to make me turn off the screen, and actually I experience a lot of peace when I turn off the screens, right? So communicate and then get off of the sucker. So soft white underbelly is a series that you can find on YouTube, and it's actually an interview of many uh, sex workers. Some of them very, very, very young. Some of them on drugs. Like this guy, I don't know if he just has a studio set up somewhere in a room and he's interviewing them. It's actually, see, we can have a tendency coming from religious and spiritual perspectives that being so condemning of these people. I would never do that, or they're nasty, that sometimes we miss the information that they can give you. I've studied documentaries of junkies for years. Why, you may ask? Because I wanted to know, like, why? Who wants the face of somebody looking like crystal meth, ruining your skin? Nobody really wants that. Nobody really wants to be unhealthfully overweight. Nobody really wants to not be able to provide for themselves and their children financially. Why? Why? I invite you to a healthy curiosity and your quiet moments about the why. Otherwise, we allow ourselves, somebody else, whatever package you're in, chocolate, vanilla, banana, to write the narrative and answer these things for us. SW, yeah, it's really, really sad. However, it's insight. It's insight. So this young lady that I saw yesterday, what I thought was interesting is she was saying, I love the hustle. I love this life. So rather than condemn, just put on my curiosity cap. I wanted to hear what is the distinction and what she really, really loved, And so the interviewer, she was got some play on another show. She's now looking to up her brand and her game. But she kept saying that I love this lifestyle and the hustle. She was adopted. So I'm listening for the patterns, shortcut, distinction. Look at the patterns within your life and anybody in front of you. Sometimes with no vetting process, you don't cross-reference the people you let into your panties, your pocketbook, and your psyche, right? This principle could apply to males too. So that means that the reason you have cognitive dissonance is what you're looking for, whether that's the butt or the attractiveness. There's something that you're trying to validate or you're trying to satiate, and it's definitely not in a whole or a healthy context. So in any event, this young lady is saying that she loves the life, is somewhat glamorous. Now, she's admitted that, and she speaks about several young ladies that she know that have been murdered. She shares that she was almost murdered and that she has been raped in this profession. That's what I'm saying. You got to listen. Listen for the patterns, because you're like, what's the cognitive dissonance? I'm listening. What's so glamorous? What is the thing that she loves about it? Here's what I take away with my developing crone eyes, that she found a sense of family. She found folks with a family where they got each other's back, somebody willing to fight for her. Think about this now. Where's the first place ideally that you would experience that is within your root family with your parents. So this really says something, because I'm a woman, I'm not a man. And we also have sons, right? For those of us that choose to give birth or that will choose to give birth. This says something to our accountability and responsibility for our decision making whenever we can. Some stuff in the past we were naive, or some things we've been exposed to, we can't change that. However, moving forward, whatever we've been exposed to, our lives is 110%. Now, from this point, is our responsibility. That's your best bet. Some people, I've had people say, I don't have choice. All we've got is choice. We may just not realize how the self-sabotage or the trauma, even if you're not a psychotherapist, we can know that we've been exposed to certain things. We may not realize the degree to which these things have affected us in our decision making and are keeping us in a loop. However, with a healthy sense of curiosity and compassion, not complacency, with a healthy sense of curiosity and compassion, we have the ability to have access. And I will also add, with your personal movement practice. See, this is why it's not, y'all might think it's simple. Why I keep saying the same thing over and over. That feeling powerful, those are my bunnies, that feeling powerful in your body, a personal movement practice gives you access to feeling athletic and empowered in your body, even before the additional or unhelpful adipose tissue drops off. It's how it's making you feel first. It's what it's doing to you subconsciously each and every time you are effective and you keep your word to yourself and you challenge yourself in something that's totally for you, and it's you're feeling struggle and you're feeling challenge and you're overcoming it. That's huge. What that gives you access to subconsciously. That's You're giving yourself a whole shot. You can't remove the old stuff. However, you can write a new chapter. So these are really powerful and leveraged lifestyle practices. The same goes with the garden therapy. It's a leveraged lifestyle practice. Peaceful consumption, put the label, whatever label you want to call on it. It's about the results. Peaceful consumption, least harm possible. If it's least harm possible, perhaps you're exploring how you can be reciprocal. The same way we want to be reciprocated as women, why would we think that this living organism of the planet doesn't need to be reciprocated? The Mother Earth is feeding us from her breast unconditionally all the time. Every now and then, Mother Earth, she got to swallow up a couple million people to get our attention. However, it's a principle. It's a principle. The principles in the litmus test will save you time and shorten your learning curve. So, in any event, this young lady, she's was on crystal meth. She's been beaten. She's been raped. Yet she's saying she loves the lifestyle. So today, one of the phenomena that I see, and this is not new, but you see it more on social media today, where you have women, and it's now that I think about it, it's not limited to younger women and men, arguing a point of something that's putting them in harm's way. Can we not discern the cognitive dissonance there? And so, as our egos are being stroked, right? The ego, that part of our mental processing that actually has a purpose. The ego actually, we make it negative, it actually has a purpose if we can understand it. It's trying to protect us. That part of our mental processing is childlike. It doesn't have an age. It throws tantrums. It will do anything. The ego will even take out the host. It will do anything to maintain our status quo and superficial sanity, right? And to protect us. But it can protect us at the same time putting us in harm's way because it's not logical. It's not logical. So companies understand this. Folks looking to peddle products understand this. Pimps understand this. Poverty pimp preachers understand this, right? We're not really encouraged to discernment, right? Or perhaps it applies only to our religion, but not to other people's religion. So I have found it very effective and efficient to train my eye to discernment so I can apply it to anybody, male, female, any kind of package, old, young. It's actually a sigh of relief that I can apply it to anyone standing in front of me at any particular time. So there are some lessons in personal accountability. Because interesting with Miss Linda Evangelista, the model, I think it's interesting. There's some talk about her suing the company. So if we had to think about it now at this point, where I've seen online women lining up for BBLs. I mean, think about that without making bad or wrong. So if we're going into these things intentionally, usually they're going to ask you to sign some legal documents, right? So that the company, that I've had malpractice lawyers as clients where they're protecting themselves from being sued. Even if we look at this recent so-and-so demic, right? It's set up now where you can't sue the companies. So these are things for us to think about in terms of securing ourselves and our bottom line. If we're making decisions from a point of naivete, even if you're naive, you'll still have to live with the consequences. If we're spending based on which iconic superstar with a great singing voice and a great music video, and we have to buy all of her outfits instead of securing ourselves financially and in terms of food security into the future. We're going to have to live with those consequences, because last time I checked, nobody's riding in on a white horse to save us. And even taking on that sovereignty is accountability and responsibility, which is again why I say I look sideways if someone wants to share a treat with me, a toxic treat, and I love to eat, or the food junkie and junk food junkie. If someone is sharing something with me that will compromise the ability to sharp decision making, that will have me compromise my longevity, my vitality, any kind of act that's going to have me, and this may sound corny, anything that's going to have me put myself in harm's way. These are what I call crone eyes. I'm looking at you sideways because I can't really call you my friend. And it may not even be intentional. It might just be where you are. You want company. We usually want company. I like company when I'm cutting up my fruits and vegetables. I like company sometimes inside the garden. I like company when I'm doing fitness and working out. So, as humans, we like to share wherever it is that we are in our mindset and whatever it is that we're doing. So, hopefully, this conversation is is of some value to you. I think quite often when I was in my teens and my 20s, like, this conversation could have saved me so much time. It could have saved me so much time and effort. And for many of us, similar to the women in previous generations, only thing they had was some scriptures. No offense to the scriptures, there's universal principles in there, but it's open to everybody's interpretation that usually has an agenda, economic or otherwise, of power and a conflict of interest. And it's usually not with my health, longevity, and my thriving in mind. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, what is it that we can do? What is that we have access to? It may sound overly simple, yet those three lifestyle practices, as a principle, they are leverage activities. They are investment activities that give you back more than your investment. When you're watching something, even if it's great, even if it's a tasty treat, are you getting back more for the investment of your time? We've got more technology and we're still working the same hours. Are you learning a skill? One of my litmus tests, am I motivated to get into action in the garden, um investing, if am I encouraged to make healthy meals, am I encouraged to get into action around what I say, what I value, after certain conversations? Am I triggered to start binge eating after watching one of these shows, or eating mindless? Am I triggered to mindless behavior? I know we may not want to think about it. If you disagree, that's okay. Let me know what you think in the comments. Does education mean that you cannot be triggered to mindless behavior? I'm humbled. I'm fascinated by self sabotage. And I'm fascinated when I look at some clients where I gave them, now, what are you doing up here, Kitty Coo? How'd you get up here? It's like my little Flojo over here. What are you doing? Mm-mm. What you doing, Miss Flojo? I'm fascinated by what is driving our behaviors, and we know there are those clients that get it, that made a distinction, like, one of my Indian clients. um I love Indian food. I love most foods. I really enjoy them. And when we're looking at ladus and the parathas and the aloo gobis, and they're delicious, but when I ran the numbers on her, and that gave her another set of insight into the amount of calories, she took it and she ran with it slow and steady. As somebody's very successful philanthropist, we're looking at running the reports and running the numbers, not just the emotions. We have a tendency, maybe perhaps without realizing it, how much we're manipulated. Go ahead, Booby. How much we're how much we are manipulated emotionally, right? Allow ourselves, or we continue to go back to some of these channels to allow ourselves to be manipulated emotional, and it's not logical and it's not strategic, and it is negatively affecting our bottom line and our decision making. So those lifestyle practices, peaceful consumption, food that is peaceful to your arteries, your colon, your skin, your longevity, your vitality, your mood. See, litmus test, principle. Then if that can help guide and make it easier to decide what you're going to allow to pass your lips, what you will allow to enter into your divine orifices, right, into your reproductive organs, by some simple guiding principles to develop your eyes so that we are not so weakened and just moving by impulse or driven by nobody else is going to choose me. So I might as well let this person, enter me without protection, or not thinking of people's character and their consistency and their care. This is, I don't know if I'm going to call it an epidemic, but constantly online. And sometimes there's just a lot of concern for the pandering, male and female, right? Because I'm a mom. When we consider that in allowing these pandering and not having discerning eyes, a lot of times we don't have our discernment is shot as women. Let's admit it. But even with a lot of the men, if we continue to follow these people, we're allowing ourselves the desire for a healthy relating and a healthy family to be destroyed. Well, we're getting turned off. And I'm not talking about, I do not support putting yourself in harm's way or being on the receiving end of abuse or inconsistent or unaccountable or irresponsible behavior, right? No, I'm not saying that. But however, it's almost like jaded people um, that hate the idea of family or something like that. We're losing our desire for family, right? Just because you share the same acronym, just because you share the same skin tone, that does not mean that you have the same values. Lack of discernment, right? So, in an effort to be validated and belonging to a group, hey, magical, and belonging to a group, we're just allowing anything to happen. We're accepting, we're making some gross assumptions, and we're continually suspending the vetting process. I say that that's very, very dangerous. It's just not thinking of the full picture. So believe it or not, and again, this is going to sound overly simple. The garden will help you to cultivate common sense beyond the rhetoric of esoteric knowledge and religion. It makes esoteric knowledge really very basic. You go in the garden and put your hands in dirt. Grow a season of kale or spinach. Watch the ants. Watch when it doesn't grow. Watch when it grows. Put your hands in some compost. Watch how the sun is moving around at different points during the year. Participate with the rain. Watch how the plants respond to the rain and watch how they respond to chlorinated water. And it may activate your common sense more than any of these books and these memes and these scriptures that repeat. Just one woman's perspective. Shortcut, efficient with the learning curve. Watch the birds. Look at this rabbit over here. Kitty cool? Watch the rabbits. You should watch how these things, how they just love on each other and they're so nurturing. And when they pull food out of each other's mouth, if you would put them inside of a cage, the behavior turn is totally different. How they start competing for resources and when they share, just based on the environment, based on the type of food, quality of food. The practice is actually called animal husbandry. Look it up. Same principle is used in slavery, right? How can you elicit certain behaviors out of people? It's a science. Again, there's a science and principles. Companies understand it, manipulators understand it, pimps and preachers understand it. It's actually a science. Men are vulnerable, and definitely women are vulnerable, and our fears make us even more vulnerable. So I hope perhaps that this conversation is valuable and can have us just consider radical self-acceptance. I would say it's, and I'm not saying you can't play. It's not for me to say. I can't say you shouldn't play with makeup or express. That's not what I'm saying here. That's not what I'm saying. I invite you to question the root of what is driving your behaviors and see if there is doubt and esteem and negative self-talk or trauma driving your behaviors, right? How we're consuming is giving you a clue to that. Putting yourself in harm's way is giving you a big clue to that. The inability to turn off these screens is giving us a clue. You're just like the same thing. If your skin has a lot of acne, give thanks. Your body's still alive. It's giving you a clue to what's going on inside of your organs. If your BM is all dried up, that's giving you a clue. So rather than fighting these things, they're giving you some key clues. So That's our online podcast touch base today. Look how peaceful she is. Hi, magical. She's so peaceful. I'm inviting you all to create a great day on purpose, a day that you can be proud of yourself, right? Being in integrity. I invite you to make your personal movement practice the best part of your day. There's nothing to catapult you into confidence like a consistent, regular, safe, sweaty personal movement practice. Y'all are welcome to come and to join me. Contact me if you would like to come into coaching around fitness, the garden, your food and life coaching. There's Flower Fit coaching and community. Again, you can contact me at info@body-culinary.com and also bodyculinary.com to get an application and see if that's a good fit for you. You can receive an application, and then you will receive, once you register, you'll receive an invite to the private link. So that is a safe space. I such a valuable conversation today. You dropped so many jewels. Daily meditation for me. Yes, yes. Thank you, Aya. I appreciate you too. Aya participated in the 7-day nutritional reset. So that's being upgraded. Also, uh, if you're on the mailing list, you getting out of pocket. I got both of them. They're getting out of pocket. And this one is a spicy one. Yeah, so I'm going to be parking the whole living foods, regular recipes, and many food prep classes. And for anyone that knows me, I like to add a lot of wisdom. I don't just give you a recipe. Where are you going? You got to get down off my counter, boo. That's not going to work. Adding there are nuances. There are a lot of nuances to whole living foods as a lifestyle and processed foods as a lifestyle. Again, I'm not here. I'm not here to tell people what to do, whether you eat fish or eggs. I really don't think that that's where it's at. I think you have to go on your journey, do some experimentation, and find what your sweet spot is. Because I know you could be raw vegan. That doesn't necessarily equate to great character. What are you doing, kitty cool? So let me attend to these rabbits. Again, reach out if you'd like to apply to be in the coaching community. It's a good place to share pictures of your food, get a lot of your questions answered if you're really interested in embracing this as a lifestyle, to get off the whole stroll of dieting, to really get solidified with cultivating a movement practice and really getting your mind right. If you get the mind right, you can get the behind tight. Feel free to replay this as you are decluttering, as you are chopping. Look, this challenge, this rabbit is doing a vertical jump like Flojo over here. This ain't gonna work, Mama Sita. You can't keep jumping up on my counter. I'm gonna have to put you in the other room. That's not gonna work, kitty cool. So, and I'm losing my train of thought. What I'm saying. So, anyway, if you'd like to be and if you'd like the invite, fill out the application form and see if it's a good fit for you. I'll send you the application. There's group coaching. Oh, there's a nutritional reset. I'm parking the recipes on another private platform for the men folks. We'll see how we can incorporate you somewhere in there, in another, maybe another private room, because just want to create a very safe space and a respectful space with healthy boundaries for everyone. That's key. Healthy, I'm unapologetic. I am unapologetic about creating healthy boundaries for me and those that are around me. That's not up for debate. So y'all create a great day on purpose. Like, comment, subscribe, listen to this as you're decluttering, cutting up your vegetables, and doing your stretching. All right, see y'all soon.